The Ohio State quarterback room getting a lot of attention this spring, rightly so. The running back room is almost as interesting. Tim Bielik, Doug Lesmeri, and Bill Landis. Bill Landis, when you have two running backs in Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins, who have both rushed for 1,000 yards in a season, do you think this will work? Or is there any possibility that, like, there's going to be a little angst in the running back room over who's getting the carries?
It feels to me like angst is almost unavoidable. Because you have two. We saw Mike Weber as a redshirt freshman rush for 1,000 yards. He can clearly carry the load if asked to. J.K. Dobbins last year as a true freshman ran for 1,400 yards. He can carry the load if he needs to, and they know that. So, yeah, like it's not – for one of those guys, it's not going to happen. I just don't envision a scenario where there's a true 50-50 even split. And people were pointing like to the Michigan State game last year. It's like that's the template. Today, when we talked to Tony Alford, Mike Weber, and J.K. Dobbins, like Michigan State 2017 is a template. In that game, Mike Weber, 9 carries, 162 yards. He had like 2 80-yard touchdown runs. And then J.K. Dobbins had double his amount of carries. He had 18 for 124. And they won 48-3. So just beat everybody by 50. Make sure Mike Weber has 2 60-yard touchdowns, and then we're good. Like that's not a template. That was a one-off like random thing. So it's not. I'm not painting it as a disaster because I think it can work. Like you clearly have a successful offense, but someone's feelings are going to get hurt, and that's unavoidable.
A team last year, Tim Bielik, reached the national championship game with 2 running backs who are both high NFL draft prospects and both had really good years. Georgia did it. Is Georgia a template for what Ohio State could do this season?
I don't know, because when I look at Georgia, I look at a team that didn't throw the ball that much. I don't think Jake Fromm had that many passing attempts compared to rushes by Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. Ohio State's going to want to throw the ball a little more regardless of who their quarterback is, and it's going to be, not as much of an even split of carries between Chubb and Michel. Michel and Chubb were 1A, 1B. In this backfield, I think Dobbins is clear number 1, Weber's clear number 2. You can spell Weber in certain situations. Last year, he did look faster, but I feel like that was kind of a one-off situation where you have 2 super running backs who are both number 1s anywhere else, and they were just unselfishly willing to share the carries. Tony Alford talked today about how he wants a running back room full of alphas. He wants, alpha dog personalities. Weber and Dobbins are both those guys, but Dobbins showed last year that he's clearly better, I think.
Also, Tony Alford talking about how like Antonio Williams is looking good as a 3rd running back. Like somehow they might get carries for 3 backs, which is definitely not going to happen. Are you raising your finger?
I just have some Georgia stats. Georgia threw the ball 20 times per game and ran it 44 times per game. And that's not what Ohio State does.
That is not what Ohio State's going to do. I think it's going to be interesting. Tony Alford kind of gave and I don't like when coaches do this. It's fine. But like I said, like, how are you going to be worried about keeping guys happy? And he was like, what's your name? It's like, okay. But he basically said, I'm not worried about keeping guys happy, which is what a coach says. But I think it's foolhardy to pretend that, like, keeping guys happy isn't some little component of what they're trying to do for this fall. It will be interesting to watch. Now, just because you have multiple guys who want to be the workhorse doesn't mean it won't work. It's just going to be, I guess, again, too many good players. It's just going to be interesting, right? Interesting?
It's not going to be as easy as they're making it sound. I think is the point.
Yeah, I think that's the point too. Yeah. Tim, Bill, Doug, watch and read at cleveland.com.